This is Chris, and this is going to be my Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 4, The Book of the Stranger Breakdown Review. I really dug this episode. We didn't get to see a lot of action in the sense of our typical Game of Thrones action, but we did see scenes that actually moved the story forward, and I would much rather see these scenes where people are talking that has a purpose and moves the story forward than just pointless filler action just for the sake of blood and gore. I will say I really dug the end of this episode. Dany came back with a vengeance, and I know there's a lot of Dany haters out there, so if you don't like her after a scene like this, you gotta like her just a little bit. And as usual, there will be spoilers and speculation, so please click away if you hadn't seen the episode, but I will probably speculate on some things to come as well. Spoiler warning. But I was also disappointed in this episode in the sense that there wasn't any real Pycelle fart jokes. So let's jump right in. We start at Castle Black, and Jon Snow is packing his shit. He's ready to get the hell up out of there. He's going south just to get warm somewhere. I mean, he's been stuck up there 5 seasons, so I don't blame him. Anyway, his good friend Eddie tries to talk him out of it, saying, what are we going to do now? And he's like, look, man, I'm getting the hell up out of here. I died. I'm free of my vows. And then we had Davos and Mel talking, and he's like, what are you going to do now? And she's like, I'm going to follow Jon Snow wherever he goes because he is the prince that was promised. So she's called him the prince that was promised now twice in as many episodes, so that means she's now stuck with him like a bad case of herpes. And then we have Brienne and Pod escorting Sansa back to the gates of Castle Black. Apparently the Night's Watch has already repaired the gate that 1-1 Waka 1-1 broke down. And I was still up in the air about the whole Stark reunion thing. I knew it would happen eventually, but I didn't think it would happen this soon. So Sansa and Jon, 2 Starks, actually have a fucking reunion. Stark reunion! Oh shit! They actually let it happen! Damn! I don't want to cry. They haven't been together since season 1, although when you think back to it, Sansa and Jon were never that close anyway, so I'll be a lot more hyped up whenever we get to the point where Jon meets Arya again, or Sansa and Arya meet again, or perhaps Rickon if he survives. But I gotta say, it was awesome again to see 2 Starks back together in the same place at the same damn time. And also I thought this line was very interesting when Sansa was talking to Jon having her cup of soup, when she said to Jon, don't you wish we could go back to the day we left? I want to scream at myself, don't go you idiot. I thought that was pretty damn interesting because I believe we know somebody that might be able to actually do that. So as Mel and Davos continue to talk, Brienne comes up and makes things a little bit awkward by saying that she's the one who actually executed Stannis. Davos wasn't really aware of what went down, and that's when he was starting to ask about Shireen as well, so he hadn't found out the details of that yet. So I'm assuming here that when they start marching south with Jon and Sansa to start rallying the northern houses against the Boltons, that they will likely come across the area where Stannis was camped. We did see that in the teaser trailer, so I'm thinking here that he will likely find the stag that Davos carved for Shireen before she was killed, and that's going to bring back some of that tension that Melisandre and Davos had before. So then we go to the Vale and see that little shit Robin practicing his bow and arrow skills.
Nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Hell, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And our favorite schemer Littlefinger comes up in his wagon, and he basically immediately starts his scheming and plotting by basically turning House Royce against Robin and kind of talking Robin into giving him control of the army of the Vale, so he has basically secured his hold on the Vale here. And in my opinion, this will come in very, very handy in the battle for the North at just the right time. And then we head over to Meereen, and we have Tyrion, Missandei, and Grey Worm, and he's going to meet with the Masters. So we finally get to see Tyrion use his wit to get out of a bad situation, or at least buy some time, and Missandei and Grey Worm aren't happy about it. They obviously have been slaves, they know what it's like, so they just want to kill them all. But Tyrion understands the other side of the game where he realizes he can't just take off and take these cities back and leave Meereen wide open, but he's going to try some diplomacy here because he's kind of getting desperate. So he basically says, you know what, our queen didn't have a real good plan to replace slavery, and I know that was your profit motive, so we're going to give you 7 years to basically, wean yourself off slavery so you can find something to replace it as far as the financial aspect, and that's going to buy them some time here till Dany gets back, and she's coming back. And then we head over to Vaes Dothrak where Jorah and Daario have found Dany. I had said this in a previous video, Jorah kind of knew where to go anyway because he knows all the customs of the Dothraki. So they did arrive, and they planned on a little ninja mission, so they get rid of their weapons to walk in there as merchants, and they're going to find Dany in the middle of the night somehow and rescue her. And during this conversation, when they're getting rid of their weapons, Daario discovers that Jorah has grayscale, and he says, don't worry, I didn't touch you. So likely this will come up again when they get back in Meereen with Dany perhaps, but this is going to be a problem. And I think damn Daario's a problem anyway. And to be such a seasoned warrior from Essos, he doesn't seem to know shit about the Dothraki. And as they're planning their ninja mission, Dany is back in Vaes Dothrak in the temple of the Doshkalin. She says she's got to go take a piss, and she basically starts bonding with this one former Khaleesi. As Val and I mentioned in our prediction video, we thought she might start to bond with some of these people, but she basically says, you know what, I'll never run from the Dothraki, so she's got a plan. And then we head over to King's Landing, and we see Marjorie for the first time this season, and the High Sparrow gives her a speech about how all money is bad, and then lets her see Loras. She's not really falling for his bullshit right here, I think. She's in there basically telling Loras, hey, stay strong, or we're gonna get the hell up out of here. And then we come across a scene where Pycelle is kind of counseling Tommen about the High Sparrow. Cersei walks in and says, get the hell out. And Pycelle is not liking Cersei anymore. Not that he ever really did, but he did serve House Lannister. Pycelle leaves with a little smirk on his face, really slow. It took like 15 minutes for him to get out of the room. But he did stop and kind of smirk at Cersei like, fuck you, woman, I'm on the council whether you like it or not. And he didn't fart here, but I'm thinking he might have gave her a silent drive-by. And then we see Cersei and Jaime come into the small council chamber to meet Kevan Lannister and the Queen of Thorns, and they actually come to an agreement, and Cersei acts like she's on her side about Marjorie, and they do agree they need to bring in the Tyrell army against the Faith Militant. So this will definitely set up the war to come between the Faith Militant and the Tyrell army that Cersei's going to essentially be in charge of through Jaime. And then we come to Theon. He's headed back home to Pike, the Iron Islands, and apparently he took a magical carpet ride to a boat that arrived in Pike in about 24 hours. He goes in and talks with Yara. He's still very timid, although he is responding to Theon and not Reek. And Yara kind of gives him hell about, you know what, I wasted a lot of men coming to save you and you wouldn't come, you betrayed me. But he ends up saying, I don't want to rule, I want to support you in the King's Moot. So this is similar to the books as far as the King's Moot goes. Yara will be going against her brother Euron, although I don't think it's going to work out well for her, and that will lead to other storylines that probably tie in with Dany. And then we head to Winterfell, and Ramsay is in there having an apple, and they bring Osha in, and she's been all cleaned up, and when I saw the knife in his hand, I knew this was going to fucking happen.
Oh, fuck, like that?
So she tries to pull on Ramsay what she did on Theon a few seasons ago when Bran and them originally escaped Winterfell, and tries to seduce him. She tried to go out like a champ and take Ramsay out. Now I did expect Osha to die, as I've said in a few videos now, and I think Rickon's in trouble too. We'll see how long he lasts. But honestly, I didn't expect it to go quite like this, although she did go out still trying to protect Rickon as far as the real enemy being Ramsay. So then we head back up to Castle Black, and we have a big meal going on, and Tormund Giantsbane sitting there kind of staring all up on Brienne.
I've been alone with you inside my mind, and in my dreams I've kissed your lips 1,000 times.
You know, Brienne just makes things awkward. Everybody's eating and sitting around, and then we see some Bolton men show up, and this is the show version of the Pink Letter. And for you show-only watchers, this was basically the same thing that happened in the books, just a slightly different version of it. In the books, Sansa was never in Winterfell, it was a fake Arya Stark. But nevertheless, this was written to Jon as the Lord Commander. He says, I'm not the Lord Commander anymore, but he did read it out loud, and this is basically like we saw in the trailers where Ramsay says, Winterfell is mine, come and see. So he's demanding Sansa back. Jon's like, what am I going to do about it? We don't have enough people, you know, as far as talking to Tormund Giantsbane. But Sansa steps up here, and this is where we talked about in our prediction videos where Sansa's going to start to be a leader this year. So Jon was basically just going to wander off. He didn't really know what direction to go. But now that he's reunited with Sansa, she's going to give him a purpose. She's saying we're going to take our home back and we're going to go kill these bastards. So I really like the idea of Sansa stepping up here. She's the one who talks Jon into it, and it gives him a purpose again. So this definitely sets up Bastard Bowl. It is coming, and it's going to be badass. And I do assume here that at some point the right bastard will win. Although he's probably not a bastard. And then we get to my favorite part of the episode, and this is back in Vas Dothrak, and Dany is there, and she's taken up into CalCon 2016, which is apparently still going on, and they are going to determine what cities are to be sacked and what people are to be enslaved, and they apparently determine what happens to Dany since she broke the rules and went out into the world instead of going back to the Dosh Khaleen after Khal Drogo died. But Dany goes up in there like a boss. She's up in there like, I don't care what you say or what you do, I'm not going to listen to anything you got to say because I'm going to lead you. And she proves it by touching the hot braziers, as we saw in the trailer, and pushes the braziers over, essentially lighting the hut on fire.
Ieri Padrivo.
Oh shit! She burns it down? Oh shit, she's not gonna burn it again? Oh, damn! I got to say, that shit's badass. She's gonna walk right out that motherfucker. They're making her fireproof in the show. No Drogon? She did it her damn self.
Now, she had made a plan with Dario and Jorah. They did break the rules and take out a few guards and spill some blood and lock them inside of the thing, and she had planned on not walking out of there till they were all dead with the damn hut on fire. And she walks out again as the Unburnt, just like in season 1 when she hatched her dragons, only this time there was no blood magic involved. So one of two things is going on here as far as the show goes. Now, George R.R. Martin has said that Targaryens are not fireproof. That was a one-time magical event, but the show seems to be going a different direction. Either they're making her fireproof all the time, or it happens when she really, really believes it's going to happen. Like she has this ability to somehow truly believe she can't be burnt as a dragon, and she doesn't get burnt. So she walks up out of there, unburnt again, just like in season 1, and everybody comes up and sees that on fire. They're all dead. CalCon 2016 is over, and they all bow down to the Unburnt. She proved her strength here, and she did it without Drogon, and that's what I thought was pretty badass. We all expected Drogon to come flying out of nowhere, perhaps burn the hut, have a Dothraki barbecue, but what was really cool here is she did it on her own, with her own abilities, showing that she doesn't necessarily need dragons to be a badass. That itself was a little twist. So I'm happy they started to move her story along a little bit and brought her back to the limelight. Her story the last few episodes was kind of dull. We kind of knew it was coming, so I'm glad to see them do this, so it really ended on a bang. Not to mention they played that badass same music that they played when she bought the Unsullied and tricked that bastard into believing she was actually going to give him a dragon, and then Drogon, of course, lit his ass on fire and then burned the place up. That's just those badass scenes that give you chill bumps. So in my opinion, now Dany has gone back, so she can now move forward. So anyway, that was the episode, guys. It was pretty short and sweet this time, but it was pretty straightforward because there wasn't a lot of filler in this episode, like I said before. So overall, this was a pretty damn good episode, even though, again, there wasn't a lot of that Game of Thrones action we all craved like we saw last week with the Tower of Joy. But you can't have that in every single episode. Believe me, there's a lot more coming. And before I wrap this up, I'd like to give a special shout out to a fairly new channel, Tale Foundry. If you dig fiction and storytelling, and even the components that go into storytelling, such as characters, how they're developed, even the worlds they're immersed in, and the culture that makes them who they are, they have really cool, high-quality videos. They even have cool months where they do themes. For example, last month was a Game of Thrones theme, and they talked about Game of Thrones, why it's important and why it appeals to us so much, how it was kind of built, and then even have their own short stories using that information for that month. So please check them out if you like that kind of stuff. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Also, I will be getting back to Q&As this week. I apologize. I meant to get one out last week, but I had a lot of stuff in real life to take place that I just couldn't get to it. I will be starting those again this week, so feel free to leave your questions in the comments below. In the meantime, you can click here to check out my last video, which was the Game of Thrones Season 6 Episode 3 review. And speaking of Q&As, you can also click here for the last Q&A I did with James from Daily Useless Sports Trivia, where he read all questions of me from you guys in kind of a different format that I wanted to try. So check those out, let me know what you think. And also, before I wrap this up, I want to give a special thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. So I definitely want to thank my smokescreen producers, and I apologize if I somehow butcher your name. But special thanks to Darren, Gregor McGinley, Red River Giant, Jennifer Walter, Murph Dog, Alec, Just Being Nosy, John Erickson, Taylor Royal, Jose Calvo, Mark Joseph aka The Snow in Winterfell, Ali, R. Slayer, and Jamal C. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. You have no idea how it helps. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below about episode 4. Overall, I thought it was a really, really good episode. It did move the story forward, and I was really, really happy to see Dany get back on her feet again. So again, remember Quaithe, she has gone backwards, now she can go forward. So as usual, guys, thank you for all the support. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. Be sure to share and give this video a like if you dig what I do here. Thanks for watching, you guys, and we'll see you next time.